I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation's Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor. This week, it's official. The debt ceiling agreement is a joke. 1 week after President Joe Biden signed the Fiscal Responsibility Act into law, or as some people call Fiscal Irresponsibility Act, the Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, crunched the numbers and made some projections of where the federal government's finances are headed over the next decade. The results? Not good, not bad, just ugly. Before we dive into the CBO's projections, what did House Speaker Kevin McCarthy achieve by cutting a deal with President Biden to effectively add about $4 trillion to the national debt until January 2025? Well, first, he imposed caps on most discretionary spending for 2024 and 2025, rescind IRS and pandemic-related unobligated funding, modify work requirements for recipients getting Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits and temporary assistance for needy families benefits. That's it? Yes. But don't worry, because the GOP leadership insists that it is only the beginning. Now, on to the main event, the CBO data. First, instead of the US government accumulating $20.314 trillion in budget deficits by 2033, Washington will instead record $18.791 trillion in cumulative deficits. Second, instead of making $10.559 trillion in cumulative net interest payments, the Fiscal Responsibility Act will result in $10.371 trillion in interest payments. Third, the national debt will climb to $50.86 trillion by 2033, down from the CBO's May 2023 baseline estimate of $52.387 trillion. Finally, as a percentage of GDP, the debt will represent 129.5% of the economy, down from 133.3%. As the kids say, ay caramba. But what makes this comical is that this assumes the federal government will adhere to even tepid fiscal restraint after the fiscal year 2025. Remember, the deal McCarthy cut with Biden only caps discretionary spending for 2 years. Once the calendar year transitioned to 2026, all bets are off. Plus, as was revealed by Senate Majority and Minority Leaders Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, the upper chamber is attempting to construct 12 appropriations bills over the next year to wipe out the supposed savings that were championed by the Republican leadership. Ultimately, and unsurprisingly, the latest debt ceiling drama was exactly that, drama. Indeed, it is easier waiting for Godot than it is waiting for lawmakers to make substantial cuts to the budget and rein in the country's reckless spending over the past 20 years. The US does not have a revenue problem, it has a spending problem, considering since the year 2000, the country has mostly recorded deficits. Don't believe it? The CBO expects nearly $60 trillion in revenues from 2024 to 2033. By comparison, the federal government will spend close to $80 trillion in the same period. Considering what the two parties do every few years, you can likely change the $80 trillion forecast to $100 trillion. So, in the end, the debt ceiling agreement did very little to rein in reckless fiscal mismanagement in the nation's capital. But did anyone really anticipate either side to embrace responsibility? Perhaps if only you had been observing US politics since the last season of debt ceiling political theater in the year 2021. So, in the end, stay tuned for January 2025 when all this starts again, and both sides choose to kick the can down the road and debate minting $1 trillion platinum coins or abolishing the debt ceiling altogether. Fun times indeed. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column on the pages of LibertyNation.com, where I discuss coffee prices, the war on crypto, and the crash in the Turkish lira. Thank you.
Don't get caught up in the media madness. Join our movement for free thinking and free speech at LibertyNation.com. Publishing news and analysis 24/7 with original articles by our team of authors who tell it like it is. Join us each week for online TV shows, The Uprising Podcast, and Liberty Nation Radio. We believe in free thinking and free speech. We are LibertyNation.com.
I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.